Our third speaker tonight is Rhys Cassidy. He's Vice President of Atom Queensland and a film, media and English teacher at Runcorn State High School. He has a passion for media, digital literacy and mentoring students and teachers with his involvement in community groups. Please welcome Rhys.
Okay, so my talk tonight is about using games to try to enhance and encourage reflection in the classroom. And I saw this on Facebook the other day, and it kind of really rang true to me because currently I'm finding there's a real kind of disjuncture in education around traditional kind of education and 21st century learning. And I was lucky enough to be invited by Christian Jewell from the Asia Pacific Design Library here at SLQ to work with the Design Minds team to try to use some ideas around gaming to connect with students. And Dr. Peter Hall and I developed a toolkit in the Design Minds framework, which basically tries to empower teachers and enhance learning in design thinking. And we use this platform that Peter had been working with to help students to learn about game design. So Game Star Mechanic is developed out of the UK, and it's a program that allows students to drag and drop game elements, and they play through a range of different games that are built into a quest. So it's kind of like a map, and they play through the games, and as they're playing, they're earning sprites and avatars and so on. They're able to then design their own games in a workshop, and then they're also able to share their games in what's called the Game Alley. And they can invite others to come and play and give them feedback and so on. So it's a really, really simple platform, but it's free, and it's been really successful from both young students that I've worked with who are around 12 years old right up to grade 12, so around 17, 18 years old. So they play as Addison, and they get these kinds of rewards as they play in the quest. And they then get to go into this workshop and they get to build their own little games. And they can choose through a number of sprites, different blocks, enemies and systems, and they can choose whether they want it to be a top-down or a platform game as well. So we basically wanted to allow the students to practice the design thinking framework and to use iterative design to kind of work on a game and then do some reflection around that game, offer it to their friends to play, and record some of their reflections, and then change something, and then record these changes and so on in a graphic organizer, because that's what we do when we teach. I don't know why, but it seems to work. Anyway, so basically it's kind of, there's a difficult kind of thing going on where we're trying to port some of this new media stuff into very traditional settings. But I'm finding it really useful in getting students and some teachers to engage with different ways, and not just kind of gamifying for kind of a secret, covert kind of learning, but actually being explicit about it. And one of the reasons that we wanted to use this, Peter particularly wanted to look at systems thinking. So it's looking at game design and looking at a systems vocabulary, so that students aren't kind of just looking like this guy, wondering how to hack a system, but are actually kind of given the tools and able to do that. And this is one of the ways that we taught. We taught this here at SLQ a few weeks ago with some homeschooled students who were really cool to work with. And we did some analog gaming with them with paper, scissors, rock. And then, I didn't know this, but there's actually an adapted version which is paper, scissors, rock, Spock, lizard, which is from the Big Bang Theory. Most recently, I read this article just the other day that claims that design thinking is basically is being outdated already, and that hacking is the kind of the new way of learning and so on. I personally think that design thinking and the Design Minds framework allows for hacking, because it's broad, not vague, but broad enough to allow for that. What happens in educational environments is that it becomes this very boxy, linear kind of process, which design thinking by its very nature isn't. basically, we want to avoid this, and we want to do more of this kind of messy kind of stuff that I do on the board, and that students sometimes understand and sometimes don't. But it's around getting them to enter this design thinking process at any point. They can jump straight into implementing. They can inquire, they can ideate, and the whole time we want them to be reflecting, because we want them to be able to do like Bruce Lee does. We want them to be able to absorb some feedback and reflection. They want to discard what's not useful, and then we want them to create something new, because that's really important. They need to have those skills to be creative and to solve problems, and to create the problems that need to actually be solved. So this is a diagram that was built in Word for some reason. It's crazy, but it's kind of trying to explain metacognition in some ways, and it's kind of another way of representing is called the teaching learning wheel, but it's basically kind of getting students to understand the different ways their brain works. And we've found it as a way in GameStar Mechanic for the students to play these games, to learn about game design, and as they're doing that, they're actually learning about themselves, about the way that they think, the way that they design, and how two students sitting next to each other will play and design games in totally different ways, and that's really cool. And what's great is that there's a whole range of different kinds of game platforms. Obviously Minecraft and the EDU version is out now, which is fantastic, and I've heard of people building entire working computers and advanced physics experiments in Minecraft. There's also Steam for schools, and there's a whole range of resources around getting students to learn with portals and so on, so the Portal 2 game that I'm sure lots of people have played. And so I'm really excited to test some of this stuff out and experiment with it and get the students to teach me a lot of the time too. So thank you.
Thanks, Rhys.